These apps really are just the Muslim version of Tinder, Bumble and Hinge. And here's why. My name is Yahya Growth. I'm a Muslim revert, a fully accredited relationship coach, a men's coach, and a former dating coach. I literally used to get paid to give expert advice on how to optimize a dating profile. I understand how they work and how to play the game. And after using several similar apps made just for Muslims, we should be very worried. So stick around until the end and I'll give you some alternative options which actually work. So just a recap on part 1. We talked about how some of these Muslim marriage and dating apps were essentially just dating apps with a Muslim name slapped on it. Options for drinking alcohol, not eating halal food, and even an option for somebody who doesn't pray. And just a reminder on that last one, there is an authentic hadith where the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that the difference between us, the Muslims, and the non-believers is salah. Prayer. So I'll let you come to your own conclusion on that one. What else was there? Oh yeah, they smoke, marriage in 4+ years time. The list goes on. I'm surprised there's not even an option for uses a riba, is non-binary, trans, hey, not even Muslim. Oh wait, actually no, they have an option for that. Non-practicing. And we talked about the fact that having a wali was not enforced and chats were not monitored. So there's a lot of haram going on in those chats. Yeah, I think that's it. But yeah, let's get into part 2. I genuinely don't know what their guidelines or policies are for photo verification, but it's either not working or their guidelines are just completely off. I remember being on there when I first reverted and seeing several women with crop tops and booty shorts or short shorts, whatever you want to call it. Now, I won't lie and say that this was a very regular occurrence, but even having one woman dressed in that way on a Muslim app is totally unacceptable. So I wonder, what are the actual guidelines? Is it literally no nudity and that's it? See, the thing is, when you label yourself as an app for Muslims and you're so relaxed with your restrictions and guidelines, and you even, I was about to say allow, you promote having non-practicing Muslims on there, i.e. non-Muslims on the app, you create fitna for practicing Muslims who are genuinely trying to find themselves a husband or a wife, which leads to having less and less practicing Muslims on the app and more, I hate to say it, bad Muslims and non-Muslims. And as a result of this, now these apps are known for places where you can find bad Muslims. And it's, it's self-inflicted. So aside from the obviously haram photos of men and women who clearly have no fear in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what else is there? Any photos that clearly exposes your aura. So for men, from your belly button to your knees, that's inclusive. And for women is basically everything except from your face, your hands, and I know this is disputed, but that is typically classed as your aura, is everything other than your face and your hands. And now you may be thinking, what about the sisters who want to be on the app, they're searching for a spouse, but they don't wear hijab and they want to post photos, or maybe they will be forced into posting photos with hijab even though in everyday real life they don't wear hijab. And that's a fair point to make, but we have to ask ourselves this question: are these points good enough reasons for us to not only commit haram, but to promote it? I don't know if most Muslims actually know this, which is crazy, and this is going to sound so stupid, but if a woman is to show her hair in public or show her hair to a non-mahram, she is committing haram. And I know in the West we live in a society where this is completely normalized, but every single time that she reveals her hair, she's racking up sin after sin after sin. And if this is every single day, that's crazy. Imagine the impact of posting photos on social media or on these online marriage, I was about to call it dating, marriage and dating apps. Imagine the impact of doing that. Now, it's not just the people who you see when you go out. It will be thousands, tens of thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of people seeing you, seeing your hair. And each one of those counts as a sin. It's actually scary. And so back to that question. Just because a sister doesn't wear a hijab, it doesn't mean that Muslim apps should be allowing photos of people exposing their aura. And by the way, there is actually an option on these apps to say if you wear hijab. So there's not really an excuse. It shouldn't be an issue. But would that impact the appeal, the attractiveness, the intrigue of the app? I've been hearing this one a lot now, and I get a lot of message requests saying this exact thing. Oh, and if you're not already following me, follow me on Instagram. I post 5 short videos a week. I also do a weekly Q&A, and I think I'm approaching 10k. So yeah, give me a follow. And also, if you're enjoying my content so far, I've literally just started this channel. We just hit 1k. Well, yeah, I'm posting this. Yeah, anyway, we've hit 1k maybe a few days ago or a week ago. Basically within 2 to 3 weeks of starting this channel, we hit 1k. Alhamdulillah. Yeah, if you're enjoying the content, make sure to hit the like button, hit subscribe. It really helps push the content out there so more people can benefit from this. And yeah, I really appreciate it. Jazakallah khair. So anyway, I've heard from Muslims that they see non-Muslims on the app, or maybe they match with a non-Muslim thinking that they're Muslim, but then turns out they're not. And I had a bit of a think, you know, well, all of maybe 5 minutes or so. I don't think there is a good, sustainable, affordable way of verifying if a user on the app is a Muslim. Someone suggested to me that maybe there should be a quiz of basic Islamic questions every week or 2 weeks or every month, with a limited amount of time per question, so you can't just search up online. On the surface, this seems like a good idea, but then we also have to consider that there are many Muslims who lack basic Islamic knowledge. Maybe they just haven't been seeking knowledge, or maybe they're a new revert, or for whatever reason they just don't, maybe they have some disabilities. That doesn't mean that they shouldn't be able to search for a spouse. And I'll be interested if anybody actually has a good way of verifying if a user is Muslim, but I'm convinced after my 5 minutes of thinking that I don't think there is. So as a result of this, I switched up my approach and I went and dug a bit deeper. I wanted to understand the psychology of a non-Muslim who takes their time, goes out of their way to sign up to a Muslim marriage and dating app. In some instances, non-Muslims might be intrigued. Maybe they're thinking about reverting to Islam. In other cases, the intentions may be far more sinister. Maybe they want to find Muslim girls or Muslim guys to sleep with and have that as a weird fetish or trophy. And by the way, I honestly don't blame them. These apps are literally the place to go if you want to do that. But regardless of their intention, whether it be positive or negative, they should not be there. So we have to ask ourselves, what makes these apps so appealing, so attractive for non-Muslims to go out of their way and download them? And once we understand the reasoning for this, then we can work on fixing these issues. Overall, I think the long-term goal should be to make these apps, these places, a less appealing place for non-Muslims, and I think as a result of that, it will become a more appealing place for practicing Muslims. But then you have to question, is this actually what the owners, the founders, the people who run it, who are, you know, looking at their bottom line and their profit, is this what they actually want? Because I'm certain they have a whole office or at least a big team working on these operations and marketing, how things are run. And they work there full time, and they couldn't think of what I thought of in 5 minutes. They couldn't think of it in 8 hours a day. Strange. So what are some of my suggestions? My first suggestion links in with the previous point on Haram Photos. Make all photos blurred so you can't see anything until you actually match with that person. By the way, I am aware that there is an option to blur your photos, but this is not enough. It has no real impact if many of the profiles are not blurred. And you know what this actually means? It means that women who have haya, have shyness and modesty, are going to be punished with a lack of matches. And this is the harsh reality, because men are very visual creatures and they are drawn to what they can see, not blurred photos. Another reason why I believe that blurred photos should be mandatory is that there will be far less emphasis on looks, obviously. Looks do play a very important role. Obviously, you need to be physically attracted to your spouse, but they are not the most important thing. As you age, looks will fade away, and you don't want to be stuck with someone who you used to be attracted to, but you don't really like their personality and you kind of resent them. And if you're scrolling through the app and you just see an abundance of photos, you're probably going to use that as a primary way of selecting who's suitable and who's not. Whereas if more emphasis was put on compatibility, where it matters the most, i.e. how you practice Islam, your values, your life goals, your vision for the future, the way you raise your kids, etc. And then you have looks as a secondary stage of selecting a spouse. You will have a much less shallow approach, and you'll probably be far more successful in searching and selecting a long-term spouse. And something I forgot to mention is that not only will this solution fix the haram photos, but it will also fix having non-Muslims on the app. Imagine a non-Muslim with no photos, blur photos, trying to write a good bio for Muslims, trying to attract Muslims. It's probably not going to work out well. And on top of that, the effort and the investment needed will likely put a lot of people off. These apps should really hire me as a consultant. You know what, I'm just going to keep it to 2 solutions because I don't want to give away all the source, and also my brain kind of hurts at just the thought of editing this long video. Monitor chats. I think the best way to do this is to make sure that every woman has a wali on the app. And now you're probably thinking, what about the sisters who don't have a wali? Maybe they're a new revert or just a revert, or maybe their father passed away. And so I think that these apps should have an option once you sign up to say, yes, I have a wali, or no, I don't. And as part of not having a wali, they should assign you somebody who is responsible for monitoring your chats. Now, this is actually it's probably an expensive solution. You're going to have to hire people specifically for this, or if you wanted, or if you wanted to implement some kind of AI solution where it picks up on certain words or whatever it is. But although it would be expensive, the impact would be huge. And don't ask me how I know this, but I know that on these apps, if you send an explicit word, it will be blurred out. But it will still be sent, but it will be blurred out. And by the way, somebody raised this to me in a message request on Instagram. I haven't done it. I just know, like, anything I say about that, it's just going to come across as weird, like, yo, yeah, you definitely did it. Yeah, it was me, I did it, yeah. But yeah, shout out to that person who actually flagged that. Only one person flagged that, which I was surprised by. And also, I probably should have added that earlier in the video, but hey. Anyway, what really should happen if an explicit message is sent is that it shouldn't just be blurred and sent. It should be flagged and then not sent, and then it should be under review. There should be an actual person who looks at it. And if the person who's reviewing it comes back and said, yeah, it's pretty inappropriate, I think that that user should be given a warning. And after 2 or maybe 3 instances of this happening, that user should be banned either permanently or for a long time, maybe even like 3 months. But once again, we gotta think, these solutions, everything that I've just said, it's not in the best interest of the company. It's not good for their profit margins. So, Now, there are actually great alternatives, and I'm not sponsored by them. I really should be, because I tell all of my clients about them. So if anybody from Sunnah Match is watching this, give me a message, sponsor me. Now, this app, amongst a few other apps, have actually implemented to a degree the things that I've mentioned, or some of them at least. The only issue that I see is that it has the opposite problem that the more marriage and dating apps have. The marriage and dating apps seem to have pretty good branding, seem to be quite popular on social media. Their marketing isn't too bad. But Sunnah Match and the other more Sharia compliant apps, their marketing kind of sucks, I'm not gonna lie. Nobody really knows about them outside. Like, you ask an average Muslim, they may have heard of them, but they wouldn't even want to use it. So I think they need to step up their marketing. And also, something else that I noticed was that their process seems a bit clunky. They have blurred photos, and as soon as you make a match, you don't talk on the app. The guy has to send the girl's wali an email. And I've heard from some of my clients, you don't even get a response to your email half the time. And the reason for this is fairly obvious. If you have a product or a service, you always have to think about the user journey and make it as easy as possible for them. Whether that be actually trying to sell your product or service, maybe taking out a step in the checkout process, that will increase your conversions. Or in this case, something which takes a user off your app and onto another platform or, email, and adds in extra clicks. They're probably not going to respond well. They're probably not going to do it. And to be honest, half the time, like a lot of people, especially older people, they're not going to be checking their emails that often. And as a result of that, your CTR, your click-through rate, isn't going to be as high. And Consequently, less replies to brothers who actually want to get married to a sister, not their sister, a sister. Anyway, there are other alternatives. There are other apps, by the way. I don't feel 100% confident suggesting them. I know that Cinemash is very good, but I don't want to suggest other ones. But the other alternative is real life. And to see how to approach that, you can check out my other video. It will be 3 videos ago. It's basically 3 ways for Muslims to find a husband or a wife. Enjoy. But yeah, anyway, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully it was very insightful, very enlightening. Maybe it's a bunch of stuff you haven't actually thought about before, or maybe you have. I'm not that special. But anyway, if you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, subscribe. It really helps push the video out there, helps my channel. And yeah, I can keep bringing you some interesting content. Let me know your thoughts on this video and comment down below any video ideas that you want to see in the future. And yeah, I'll see you shortly. Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.